Hello, and welcome. Welcome to, I guess this will be prog review, I guess. There's this, unless we start a separate book review strand, but that wouldn't work. Anyway, welcome to prog review again. Another thrilling episode. For today, we're talking about Earth to Moon by Moon Unit Zappa, a memoir. So it's all on the cover. For those who don't know, Moon Unit Zappa is the eldest child of Frank and Gail Zappa. You probably know. Do you? I don't think anyone's really heard of Frank Zappa. So he's a musician. His records rarely sold, but when he did have a hit, it was because of this young lady. So yeah, I managed to get. Oh, I've got a signed copy. Because signed books are the only things that should be around. So I've got a signed copy. Signed. Yeah, I wanted to know about the mechanics of the Zappa household, and that's why I got this, because it was always curious to me, because there's lots of dysfunction, I guess is the best way to put it. It is a dysfunctional story of a dysfunctional family in a dysfunctional business living in a dysfunctional Hollywood. I think that's probably the best way to put it. And again, if this family had been transplanted to England or somewhere else, it might not have been that way, Again, it's just, I think, a certain set of circumstances and beliefs, unfold. Again, she's born to one of the biggest cult musicians, and he is a cult musician because his records didn't sell. And it tells her story. Again, Frank Zappa is not a nice man. He's not a nice man. He's not a good father. He's not a good husband. He's not even a good musician. Oh, I got it in there. But he's driven. He's driven. And the people around him allow him to behave this way. He is a product of his time. Whilst he may put on the sheen of a progressive person, he is not. For he is, well, he's not very progressive. Women have their place in his world, and this is why we read these books. Moon writes very deftly. She doesn't waste her time. She's very good at painting the picture. She's very good at telling the story. The book is divided up into kind of sections of her life, and those are further subdivided into specific story memories. I like the way she tells the story. I like the way it unfolds. It is brief, but it tootles along, and I'm sure she could have written a longer version of this book, and there's probably more anecdotes for volume 2. But I think it's a really good summation of her time so far on this planet and her experience of living within the Zappa cult. Cult's quite important in this. Oh God, yeah. I read it, and I feel sorry. You feel sorry for the kids, because the kids. But then there's also it's like it's a double-edged sword, because they don't get the family life that every child deserves, but they get the name, and the name opens doors. There's that that cachet of being a Zappa, which gives them opportunities that us mere mortals would never get. So it's a weird, poison chalice of a life to have. And again, Zappa himself doesn't come out of this particularly good, but it's her father. She loves her father. That's understandable. A daughter's love for her father is one of those things that's often unbreakable, even when it's tested, and it is tested in this book. And there are moments in it when you think, God, this man is a monster. And if you're a father to a daughter, or any children for that matter, you'll read her stories and go, this man is a monster. I would never behave like that. So it is truly eye-opening. And again, and we have another monster. There are two monsters. There's her mother. Again, they were never permitted to call their parents mum and dad. It was always Frank and Gal, because you're part of the family business. It's very businesslike. And Gal was just as bad, maybe even worse than Frank. I don't know. There's lots of psychological assessment to be done in both of these people. I think it could make a very good case study. But her battles with her mother are illustrated in there. Now again, the mother-daughter dynamic is often one that can be fractious. There can be an element of jealousy from the mother passed to the daughter, because they see a younger version of themselves striking out and they wish they could do it all again, but they're saddled with maternal duties. There's that kind of psychology going on there, but there's lots of other things going on. The wronged woman, because again, Zappa was a serial adulterer. There's a story where he takes Moon and her brother to see the musical Cats in New York, and then she notices that there's something off about it. They meet some people afterwards, and then later on it transpires that he's stumping one of the women that he met at this after party at Cats. And then she realises, wait a minute, the only reason he took us to that musical, because he reveals it's the second time he's been, was so he could stump this woman. And you just read, yeah, men, men. There is lots of stuff like that in this. There's lots of betrayals, and the biggest betrayal of what happens when Zappa passes. Again, his illness is spoken about. Again, that's something I was very interested in reading about. How he dealt with that, how the family dealt with it, and the fallout from that. Again, the fallout from that is Gal took control. She took control of the business and ruled it with an iron fist, but also had a bit of a spending habit too. She developed expensive tastes, by the sound of it. She liked to spend the money, and and then wanted to rely on the kids selling off their share of the family business to get her out of debt later on. And then when she dies, it's revealed that Frank Zappa made a will, which was then negated with her death. Very complicated stuff. And in his will, he demanded that everything be sold off and it split 4 ways equally between the children. I guess leaving Gail out of the equation. But on Gail's death, she writes a will in which it is not split equally, and that 2 of the children, Armit and Diva, get controlling shares, and Dweezil and Moon get the lesser share. So they have no controlling power over the Zappa catalogue or any of the music. And Armit Zappa will forever be known to me as My Hands Are Tied Zappa. Armit, my hands are tied Zappa, because that's his excuse for not squaring the circle, for fixing the issue. Again, it's an issue that could have been fixed by the family, but he chose not to. It comes across as a bit mealy-mouthed and a bit disingenuous, greedy. And you read about them suing each other, and you just think, God, who'd want to be in that? Who'd want to be part of that gibberish? So it's a real eye-opening book. I can only feel sympathy for Moon for being born into such a, like I say, dysfunctional family. But maybe again, as it resolves itself, you think maybe they are edging towards some sort of peaceful understanding or cooperation. I don't know. Maybe that's for volume 2. I know that Dweezil doesn't talk to any of them because he feels the greatest wrong. But yeah, it's certainly an eye. If you're into Frank Zappa, if you're into biographies, I think it's worth a read. Again, it's not a particularly long read. Mind you, I do read rather quickly, so And she's got a very, like I say, very deft manner, so you get through it pretty quickly. And it's tales of Hollywood as well. You get name checks for many celebrities that she's met and known, from Andy Warhol to Michael J. Fox and all that's in between. And yeah, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I just like, you come away from it, I feel really sad that families treat their children like that and send them off on their way kind of damaged, when we're here to create the best people we can in families, and give them support. But it's funny because my dad wasn't Frank Zappa and my mum wasn't Gail Zappa, but I can see some of their selfishness in the pages. It's some of the things that happen in that I can kind of relate to because of things that happened in my family, because my mum and dad split and everything. So that was, again, that kind of opened up old wounds, as it were. It's funny how it goes, isn't it? An old misanthropic poet once wrote, "They fuck you up, your mum and dad." But I don't think I turned out that bad. I added that bit at the end there. So yeah, thank you for watching. That was my review of the Earth to Moon, and that is something that her mother used to say to her. Again, a little demeaning thing. Earth to Moon. The world doesn't revolve around you. No, it revolves around Frank and Gail, which is what you'll get from this book. And yeah, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, don't be jealous of rock royalty, because boy, they end up spending all their money on therapists and gurus and oils and unguents and smelly candles in order to rid themselves of the trauma that they've suffered at the hands of their parents. Remember, if you have children, treat them nicely. That's it. That's all you've got to do. It's really easy. And thank you for watching. There's only one thing left to say, and by now you should know what that is, and that is PROG on.